Alright guys, welcome back to a new trade recap, this time post FOMC, to analyze what happened on the E-mini S&P 500 futures contract post FOMC. So we saw we price action moved down here after forming this little double top formation here on Friday, Monday, Tuesday. We broke Monday's low here on Tuesday as well, and afterwards we just consolidated a little bit until the New York session started, the early New York morning session, where we broke Tuesday's low as well. But then as soon as the FOMC news were released later during the day, during the New York session, we wicked it up into this 1 hour fair value gap, and then afterwards reversed it down to break the previous Friday's low and our previous weekly low here on Monday. This weekly low here has been targeted. Let me get rid of this line now. And yeah, now that everything that's still standing in the room is the low we created on Friday, the 21st of October here. So this would be our next short target. We could be looking for a continuation play, maybe something that's pulling back up, continuing on the move back down, but we will see what's happening. Let's go down onto a lower time frame to see what happened during the FOMC news event. So let's look at the 1 minute chart, but we keep the 15-minute chart or one higher time frame, or every higher time frame basically, in the back of our mind. So we see this is the 1 hour fair value gap I have shown you guys earlier, where we wicked just inside basically with this candle. So we started basically. The news was released right here at 2 p.m. New York local time. So we got this big bullish candle, and that's where most of the retail traders jumped into the market with a big lot size, and afterwards they wanted to trade this continuation even up higher. I mean, yeah, you could have scalped a few pips here just based off here, but your spreads and everything else were terrible. At this time, that's where brokers make their money, basically. Everyone's getting into the FOMO mode and just putting in position after position after position. I usually avoid the first 15 minutes of every major news event. So during the first 15 minutes, we saw this break to the upside, and generally I'm avoiding this price action. In the next 15-minute candle, we broke down here at the beginning, maybe trapping shorts, maybe traders that only look at 15-minute charts were trapped short here at the beginning, and then they continued moving it up higher, 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 above this previous high here within the first 15 minutes. And yeah, on the next 15-minute candle window here, basically, the trend reversed. So with the next 15-minute candle, lots of 15-minute traders were trapped as well. Same for me. I entered into a short position here based on the SCALPER Pro bearish divergence here, where we formed here a high and a higher high right here. Since we broke this high only with the wick though, we made a high here, but a lower high at the same time, where we created a higher high on the price action chart. We also crossed over bearish on the stochastic RSI, and the SCALPER Pro was colored in red. So I entered into a short position right here with a too narrow stop loss. I really should have placed my stop loss little bits above this fair value gap, just to make sure I'm protected and everything, but I didn't place my stop loss high enough, so I lost 0.5%. I used a smaller lot size or I traded less contracts basically, because it's a higher risk setup, those reverse opportunities. I should have done it right and placed my stop loss a little bit above here, and everything would have worked out well, but it's just happening. And we got the same thing again. We created an even lower low here on the a lower high on the SCALPER Pro, continued forming a higher high, so we formed higher highs all the way through here, while on the SCALPER Pro we formed lower highs, giving me the total confirmation that this thing is just trapping people to go long, for example on this candle and right on those candles here at the beginning. So people are waiting for this thing to continue taking off. So, but in the third 15-minute cycle, after this little fake out where I got trapped in here, we heavily reversed as soon as we touched this fair value gap. We touched into this fair value gap and we got a massive 1 minute candle reaction from here back onto the VWAP. So now the direction, everything was pretty much clear for me. I knew what's going to happen. We had this nice and little M formation with a SCALPER Pro divergence, nice little double top formation. You could also call it a triple top formation. And right here, within this third 15-minute candle, so here, half an hour after news event was already done, basically, already traded, we formed a new fair value gap, basically the gap from this candle's low to this third candle's high. And in between here, there's a fair value gap. And yeah, price traded back into this fair value gap. The SCALPER Pro was still colored in red, so it's still bearish. And the stochastic RSI slowly but surely got back above the 50 level here. And then it crossed over bearish, and that's exactly where I entered. I entered right here on this candle. And what else happened on this candle? That's a new 15-minute cycle. So 15-minute breakout traders, which saw basically this massive move to the downside on a 15-minute chart, got into the market, or are likely to get into the market on the next 15-minute candle. Not somewhere in between, they also wait for the candle to close. And that's why I entered at the exact same time, but on a 1-minute chart. And price continued dropping for a beautiful 2-to-1 risk-reward ratio. Shortly afterwards, after filling this fair value gap and reversing down, hitting my first take profit, we got the first hourly candle close. So from here at 2 p.m., where the news release was happening, right here until 3 p.m., that's a hourly candle closing. And this hourly candle, after the news have been released, closed bearish. And that's really important here. So hourly traders who don't worry about looking at a 1-minute chart want to see this thing to continue further down short. So what are they going to do? They enter into short positions. So right here, after this hourly candle closed here, price consolidated, and perhaps liquidated a few more people that got into a 1-minute chart, a 15-minute chart, and they were not sure anymore. They got trapped, and they got trapped short, and they quickly got liquidated. Even though I don't believe that lots of people got liquidated here, you could also say that we formed or filled another fair value gap right here. The gap between this and this candle, since we already filled this gap down below here, they went into a higher gap. You could also use the Fibonacci tool, for example, here to see by how much it pulled back. We roughly got a 50% pullback right here into this fair value gap. And afterwards we formed a doji with a bearish engulfing candle of this doji. And at the same time we got a stochastic RSI bearish crossover. The SCALPER Pro turned from green back to red on this exact candle. That's why I entered short. I had my stop loss right here at the top of the doji, targeting this previous low here for a total of a 2.89 risk to reward ratio. And yeah, that's basically it. And very simple trade setups. Major thing that really changed news trading for me is to avoid the first 15 minutes, because that's where they are going to trap retail traders, beginner traders, to think, oh, it's gonna go long, that's gonna be so easy, I'm gonna make so much profit, just to trap them up here to take this thing down. And that's basically what they do. And for the rest of the day we continue trading further down until we reach the previous week low level here, where we held some support but then eventually broke through it, retested it, and then pretty much the day was already over. And then we just consolidated, getting back into the Asian session with a little pullback here and continuation, but that doesn't matter to us right now. We saw this nice and beautiful price action here on a 1-minute chart, and that's the main part about trading on a 1-minute chart. You use it as an advantage to see what's happening within a 15-minute or 5-minute candle. You're not standing there or watching the charts and hopping into every candle, because you get so much information with every candle. You should already know what your setup, what your ideal setup is going to look like, and what you're going to trade. And then it's a matter of a few seconds to choose the right position size to enter into this short position. You don't have to spend too much time calculating. You see this thing dropping down, making a new lower low. Okay, so you want to see the pullback. You draw your Fibonacci, you draw all your fair value gaps. Whatever you use, you wait for the stochastic RSI to be overbought again. All right, so you wait for the crossover. The Scalper Pro is pulling back as well, turning green for two candles, for two 1 minute candles, and instantly turned red after filling in this fair value gap, after the stochastic RSI, cross bearish again. And that's my setup. I was waiting for exactly this trend continuation of a low, a lower high, lower low, lower high, continuing to take this down until it breaks the structure. Usually I like to let it run a little bit longer after we break this low, but I'm already happy with a 2.89 risk reward, so